Burkittsville, Maryland, a quaint town nestled in the hills of Middletown Valley. The town got its start in the 1820s and began to grow. By the time of the Civil War, it featured a schoolhouse, blacksmith, tannery, and various other shops. As of the last census, the population was just 151. Life was pretty quiet in Burkittsville, something which would change when a low-budget mockumentary horror film was released in 1999. The movie was reported to contain the last video taken by a group of missing teenagers that had disappeared in the woods just outside the town. That film was the Blair Witch Project.
First, to the film we've all heard about, and a few people have already seen its sneak previews in the past week, the Blair Witch Project.
Damn, that is a scary movie. Please welcome directors Ed Sanchez and Dan Myrick.
I found this the scariest experience ever.
That in October 1994, 3 student filmmakers hiked into the Black Hills Forest in Maryland to make a 16mm documentary about a legendary witch.
Here we are in Burkittsville, Maryland.
With the smash success of the film, the town found themselves overrun by fans of the movie as well as those that truly believed in its story, a fact made only more believable by the numerous documentaries, books, and fan films which furthered the legend. But we won't be just taking a look at the town in relation to that movie. In fact, there's a lot more history to the town of Burkittsville, much which would be right at home in the next blockbuster horror movie. As I make my way into town, I am reminded of this by passing a large empty house. The plaque outside says that this is the Hamilton Willard Schaefer Farm, and was used during the Civil War as the Union General William R. Franklin's 6th Army Corps headquarters for the Battle of South Mountain in 1862, which was the first major battle of the Civil War. We will learn more about this 3-day battle later on in the video, but right now we'll focus just on this house. Built in the early 1800s, it was owned by the Schaefer family through most of its existence. Its last resident was Mary Hamilton Schaefer, a nurse and public health service officer who worked in Panama. Today, the farmhouse is owned by the Burkittsville Preservation Association, who is working on preserving the building, though not much work has been done since 2017 when it was designated as one of 6 landmarks in the state of Maryland needing preservation. These photos from the Preservation Society show the state of the interior. Next, we continue on to our destination, into the town of Burkittsville. Driving into town, one may be surprised to not spot any locations from the movie. This is because the interviews shot with Burkittsville residents were actually done in Germantown, where the filmmakers were based. One location was actually used inside the town, the Burkittsville Cemetery. It is here where the filmmakers shoot their ominous introduction for the documentary, though the history is fiction. In reality, the cemetery began in 1831, when Henry Burkitt donated the land for the combined use of the town's 2 churches at the time, naming it the Union Cemetery. During the nearby battles of the Civil War, both Union and Confederate soldiers were temporarily buried here before being moved to the Antietam National Cemetery in 1867. After Blair Witch Project's release, the town found itself overrun with fans, ghost hunters, and the curious, something which most residents decided they could do without.
There is no goddamn Blair Witch! Get out of these woods and go home!
The cemetery's website even today has a part to the fans of the movie who may want to visit. The infamous Burkittsville town sign was actually stolen, and Artisan Entertainment, the film's releasing company, had to purchase a new sign for the town, one that was welded to metal to deter thieves. Not all of the attention was unwanted, however. Store owners, for instance, found their sales skyrocket, and many capitalized on the movie selling memorabilia. One mother and daughter even sold rocks they picked up on the street for $5 online. Seriously, a rock.
Our stickmen sold so well on the internet that we started selling them in the front yard. And then somebody came by to buy them and they wanted rocks. And so we went out in the backyard and got rocks out of my rock garden, but I didn't want to get rid of them. So the guy offered me $10 after he started booting it up more. And his wife really wanted them, so we sold them to him. We sold some rocks on the internet, but not as much because it costs too much to ship a rock.
The town's woes were incorporated into the film's sequel, which ditched the found footage angle and went meta. However, the real town wasn't ready to play along, instead practically chasing the filmmakers out of the town when they arrived. Though in the end, a few residents did actually appear on camera to tell their stories. Next, we'll head outside of town, into what was the Black Hills Forest in the film. In reality, though, the movie was shot in 2 state parks just outside of Baltimore, which is where the Ruston Powerhouse was located as well, which has since been torn down. We are driving across Spook Hill right now, a legend which is likely familiar to many. Also known as Gravity Hills, these are spots where if you park your car in neutral, it will seemingly roll uphill. The legends why are usually ghostly. In this case, it's said to be Confederate soldiers who believe they are still pushing cannon up the hill. However, in reality, these have been debunked as a simple optical illusion in most cases, and we'll skip actually testing it, as I didn't want to get hit as the sun goes down. Driving further, we arrive to Gathland State Park, site of the Battle of Crampton's Gap. Also on the site is the former Townsend estate, a man who was a war correspondent for many years. This is the War Correspondents Memorial Arch, which is alongside the Appalachian Trail. Some other foundations of the state's original buildings remain as well. The Gapton Lodge and Hall buildings were remodeled and are used as a museum by the National Park Service. We're also on the side of South Mountain, where another one of the area's legends is said to live in the caves, a half-bird, half-reptile winged creature known as the Snallygaster. Reports of this creature date back to the earliest German settlers of the area, who moved here in the 1730s, but it was not until 1909 when actual encounters were given much credence. That year, the newspaper reported residents who encountered a creature with enormous wings, a long, pointed bill, claws like steel hooks, and an eye in the center of its forehead. It grabbed a man and proceeded to bite into his neck, draining him entirely of his blood before dropping him back down to earth. The story spread far and wide. As reports came in from nearby states as well, it was even claimed to have caught the attention of current President Teddy Roosevelt, who was to come and hunt the beast. The claim later proved to be a hoax by the local paper to drum up publicity. However, as soon as the sightings started, they stopped. Just 1 month later came the final report of 3 railway workers fighting and chasing the creature into the woods. It was surmised that the creature died, but not before laying an egg in the woods outside of Burkittsville. And 23 years later, a wave of new sightings took place before the creature reportedly died when it fell into a giant vat of moonshine. Conveniently, government agents showed up soon thereafter and destroyed the illegal operation, including the corpse of the Snallygaster. Though no sightings have happened since, that doesn't stop locals from painting 7-sided stars on their barns, which reportedly ward off the creature. The Snallygaster, too, has become a part of pop culture. A beer festival is named after it. J.K. Rowling included as one of the creatures in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It was also used in the video game Fallout 76. Our last stop is the Sarah's Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church. It's just outside of the town boundaries of Burkittsville. The church was built in 1870 by freed slaves, and many prominent African Americans from Frederick County are buried in the graveyard outside, as they were not allowed to be buried in the town's own cemetery. A schoolhouse sat next to the church, but has been demolished long ago. While there is occasionally a new grave added, the church has been abandoned since 1984. And from there is why it drew attention of Blair Witch fans, who, while traveling around the town, spotted this picture-perfect abandoned location and began to destroy the place. The caretaker, a local pastor, would frequently find the boards he secured it with torn off. Trash, graffiti, and Ouija boards would be left inside. Satan worshippers, too, reportedly began using the building for their black masses. And in October 1999, just 3 months after the film's release, an exorcism was held inside the church, as it was believed to be filled with evil spirits. Anointed with oil, the group headed into the basement, chanting prayers and splashing holy oil onto the walls. A second ceremony was held on Halloween night, and it was proclaimed that the church had been cleansed, though I can tell you, I still had an uneasy feeling walking through here at night. It's like a little bar back here. Complete with beer cans. Wow. Why are there scraps of their bunch of scarves? As the second movie was due to release, the town braced itself for a new onslaught of visitors. However, the movie was a failure and faded quickly into obscurity. When a third film came out in 2016, the town prepared yet again, only for that movie to underperform as well. Today, the town gets more visitors for the historic battles than it does Blair Witch fans, though they still come. If you do decide to visit the town, just remember it isn't a playground. These are real people's houses. These are real graves. And who knows? Maybe, if you take a few steps too many into those woods, or if you're out there too late at night, you might just see something large fly over your head, or hear the cackle of a witch. This is Burkittsville, after all, and these are its ghosts and legends.